Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to look at the video solutions to the Corbettmaths practice questions based on money and whenever we're finding the midpoint. If you need any extra help on finding the midpoint whenever you're dealing with money, go to corbettmaths.com/contents and scroll down to video number 400S. Alternatively, you could scan this QR code and it'll bring you straight to that video. But anyway, in this video, we're going to look at the video solutions to the practice questions, so let's get started. So let's have a look at question number 1. So question number 1 says, find the midpoint of £12 and £18. Now, whenever I'm finding the midpoint of two numbers, what I tend to do is I tend to want to add the two numbers together and then divide by 2. So if we do 12 plus 18, well, 12 plus 18 is equal to 30. And if we take 30 and divide it by 2, 30 divided by 2 is equal to 15. So that means the midpoint of £12 and £18 is £15. And whenever we find the midpoint of two numbers, we can just add them together and divide by 2, and that will tell us the midpoint. So let's have a look at question number 2. So question number 2 says, find the midpoint of 25p and 61p. So let's add the two amounts of money together. So 25p plus 61p. Well, 25 plus 61 would be 86. That's 86p. So if we add the two amounts of money together, that's 86p. And if we divide by 2, 86 divided by 2 is equal to 43. So that means the midpoint of 25p and 61p would be 43p. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 3. So question number 3 says, find the midpoint of £4 and £7. So let's add the amounts of money to begin with. So 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. Now we've added the amounts of money together, let's divide by 2. So 11 divided by 2 is equal to, well, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 11 divided by 2 will be 5.5. Now we're dealing with money here, so that would be £5.50. And that's it. So the midpoint of £4 and £7 is £5.50. And that makes sense because if we have £5.50 and we take away £1.50, we get to £4. And if we're £5.50 and we add £1.50, we get to £7. So £5.50 is in the middle of £4 and £7. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. So our next question says, find the midpoint of 80p and £3. Now here we're dealing with pence and pounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my £3 into 300 pence. So 300 pence. So we've got 80p and 300p. And let's find the midpoints of those. So let's do, so 80 plus 300. Well, 80 plus 300 would be 380. And then if we divide by 2, 380 divided by 2 would be equal to, well, 38 divided by 2 is 19. So 380 divided by 2 would be 190. So that means the midpoint of 80p and 300p would be 190p. Now we're dealing with money here, so I'm going to write that in terms of pounds. That would be £1.90. So that's equal to £1.90. So the midpoint of 80p and £3 would be £1.90. And let's just check our answer. If we take away £1.10p, we get 80p. And if we add £1.10p, we get £3. So that means that £1.90 is in the middle of 80p and £3. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. So question number 5. Question number 5 says, Tyler has got £8 and George has got £20. And George gives Tyler some of his money so that they both have the same amount of money. Question A says, how much money does Tyler have now? Well, if they have the same amount of money, that means that they have shared the money equally, so they will both have whatever the midpoint is of £8 and £20. So if we do £8 plus £20, that's equal to £28. That's how much money they have altogether. And then if they share it equally, we divide by 2, that's equal to £14. So that means they both have £14. So that means that Tyler has £14. And then part B says, how much money did George give Tyler? Well, George has £20. Well, he's now got £14 because they both have £14. That means George's amount of money has gone down by £6. So that means that George must have given Tyler £6. And if we check it, £8 plus £6 would be £14. So that means that he gave him £6 because 20 take away £14 is equal to £6. So that's equal to £6. So that means that George gave Tyler £6. Okay, let's have a look at question number 6. So question number 6 says, Jessica's got £120 and Florence has got £50. How much money should Jessica give Florence so they both have the same amount of money? So we want to find out how much money Jessica needs to give Florence so they both have the same amount. There's two different ways we can do this. One approach is to work out the difference between the amounts of money that they've got. So if we've got £120, so if Jessica's got £120 and Florence has got £50, 120 take away 50 is equal to £70. That means that Jessica has got £70 more than Florence. Now, if we half that amount of money, if she gives half of the extra to Florence, then that will mean then that she will have the same amount. So if we do 70 divided by 2, that's equal to £35. So if Jessica gives Florence half of the extra money, so if she gives her £35, they'll both have the same amount. And let's just check that. So she should give her £35. And if we just check that, if we add 35 to Florence's amount of money, that will go to £85. And if we take £35 away from Jessica's amount of money, well, 120 take away 35, well, taking away 20 would be 100, take away another 15 would be £85. So to do that, what I've done is I've looked and seen how much extra Jessica has than Florence, that's £70. Well, half that, and I've said, well, give half of the extra money to Florence, and then they both have the same amount of money. So that's one way we could have done that question. Alternatively, another way to do this question is to work out the midpoint of how much money Jessica has and how much money Florence has. And if we have the midpoint, well, if we add the money together and divide it by 2, they'll have the same amount of money, and then we can see how much money Jessica would have had to give Florence to get that amount of money. So let's work out how much money they've got all together. So £120 plus £50 would be equal to £170. And then if we divide by 2, so if we divide the total amount of money by 2, that'll be how much money they'd both have if they have the same amount. So 170 divided by 2. Well, 170 divided by 2, let's use our Bus-Shelter method. 170 divided by 2. How many 2's go into 1? 0, remainder 1. How many 2's go into 17? That's going to be 8, because 8 times 2 is 16, so that's 8, remainder 1. And how many 2's go into 10? That's 5. So that means that if they share the money out equally, they will both have £85. So Jessica would have £85 and Florence would have £85. Now the question says how much money should Jessica give Florence so they both have the same amount of money? Well, Florence's amount of money has gone up from £50 to £85. So her money has gone up by £35. And that money will have come from Jessica. So Jessica's given her that £35. And if you have a look, Jessica's amount of money has gone down by £35 as well. So how much money did Jessica give Florence? So if we do £85 take away £50, we can see how much more money Florence got, which was £35. So that means that Jessica gave Florence £35. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 7. William's got 34p and Kyle's got 72p. How much money should Kyle give William so they both have the same amount of money? Well, let's find out how much, if they shared the money equally, how much they both have. So let's add the amount of money to begin with. So let's take the 72p and add the 34p. And 72 plus 34 would be 106, so that'll be 106p in total. And then if they divide that by 2, if they share that equally, 100 divided by 2 is 50, 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that'll be 53p. So if William and Kyle shared the money equally, they'd have 53p each. Now the question says how much money should Kyle give William so they have the same amount of money? Well, if Kyle's amount of money has gone from 72p down to 53p, let's work out how much his money has gone down by. So 72 take away 53. Well, let's use our column method of subtraction for that. So 72 take away 53, and let's see what we get. 2 take away 3 we can't do, so let's borrow. So that's going to be 6 and 12. 12 take away 3 is 9. And 6 take away 5 is 1. So that means that Kyle will have given William 19p. And let's just check, if we had a 72p and we take away 19p, that would be 53p. And if William had 34p and he added 19p, his amount of money would go up to 53p. So then they would both have the same amount of money. So how much money should Kyle give William so they'd have the same amount of money? The answer would be 19p. That's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, let's have a look at question number 8. So question number 8 says, Tamika's got £2.83 and Remy's got 97p. How much money should Tamika give Remy so they have the same amount of money? So let's find the midpoint of these two amounts of money. So let's say if they shared the money out equally, how much would they get each? So let's take the £2.83, which is 283p, and add 97p and see how much money they've got in total. 3 plus 7 is 10, so put the 0 down, carry the 1. 8 plus 9 is equal to 17, plus 1 is 18, so put 8 down, carry our 1. And 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. So altogether, Tamika and Remy together have got £3.80. And if we take £3.80 and we divide that by 2, that would tell us how much money they would get each if they shared it equally. So how many 2's go into 3? That's 1, remainder 1. How many 2's go into 18? 9. And how many 2's go into 0? 0. So that's equal to £1.90. So that means that if Tamika and Remy shared the money out equally, they'd have £1.90 each. So that means that Tamika would get £1.90 and it would mean Remy would get £1.90. Now the question says how much money should Tamika give Remy so they'd have the same amount of money. So there's two different ways we can do that. What we could do is we could take Remy's 97p away from £1.90 and see how much his money's gone up by, and that's how much Tamika's given him. Alternatively, we could take the £1.90 away from £2.83 and see how much Tamika's money's gone down by to see how much she's given him. So let's do that. Let's take the 283p and take away £1.90 and see how much money Tamika's given Remy. So 3 take away 0 is 3. 8 take away 9 we can't do, so let's borrow, so that's now 1 and that's now 18. 18 take away 9 is 9 and 1 take away 1 is 0. So that means Tamika has given him 93p And that's it. So that's one way we could do this question. Another way we could have done this question was to work out the difference in the amount of money they had to begin with. So take the 97p away from £2.83 to work out the difference in the amount of money they've got. And then if we half that, that's how much Tamika could give him. So then Remy's amount of money would go up to the middle and Tamika's amount of money would go down. So if you took those away from each other, you get £1.86. And then if you divide it by 2, you get 93p. So that means that Tamika could give him 93p, so they both have the same amount. Okay, let's have a look at question number 9. So question number 9 says Ayrton's got £24.16p and Remus has got £17.40p. And Ayrton gives Remus some money, so they both have the same amount. How much money does Ayrton give Remus? So in this question, there's a couple of approaches we could use. One approach is to add the amount of money they've got, so see how much money they've got altogether, divide it by 2 to find the midpoint, so to find out if they share the money equally, how much they each have, and then you could take that away from how much money Ayrton had to begin with to see how much money Ayrton's given Remus. So that's one approach. Another approach is to just take away the amount of money they've got, so find the difference and half it. And then that means that if Ayrton gave Remus that amount, then they would both have the same amount of money. So let's do both approaches and see what we get. So first of all, our first approach, we could add these amounts of money to begin with. So take the £24.16p and add £17.40p, and that's equal to £41.56p. So that's how much money they've got altogether. If we divide that by 2, we get that's equal to, so £41.56p divided by 2 is equal to £20.76p. So if they shared the money equally, they'd both get £20.78p. So let's take that away from how much money Ayrton had to begin with to see how much money Ayrton would then have to give Remus. So if we had £24.16p and take away £20.76p, that would tell us how much money Ayrton's given Remus. Alternatively, we could have taken the £17.40p, how much money Remus had, away from his new amount to see how much his money's gone up by, to see how much Ayrton's given him. But if we do the subtraction, we'll get that amount of money. So £24.16p subtract £20.78p is equal to £3.38. So how much money should Ayrton give Remus? So they've both got the same amount of money. The answer would be £3.38. So that's one way to do it. Alternatively, we could have worked out the difference. So we could have done, and I'll just do this in blue just to show you the other approach. We could have taken the amount of money that Ayrton had, £24.16p, and taken away £17.40p, and that would tell us the difference in the amount of money they had. So £24.16p subtract £17.40p is equal to £6.76. So that's equal to how much more Ayrton's got than Remus. So if Ayrton gives them half of that amount, then they'd both have the same amount of money. So if we take our £6.76 and then divide that by 2, that would be equal to £3.38. So that means that if Ayrton gives him £3.38, then they'd both have the same amount of money. Okay, so let's have a look at question number 10. So question number 10 says, Rebecca saves £11 every month for a year, and Sarah saves £3 every week for a year. At the end of the year, they share the savings so that each person has the same amount of money. How much does each person receive? So let's find out how much money Rebecca saves over the course of the year, and let's find out how much money Sarah saves over the course of a year. So let's start with Rebecca. It's £11 every month now for a year. Now there's 12 months in a year, so if we do 11 multiplied by 12, that would tell us how much money Rebecca saves. Now 11 times 12, know in your times tables, that's equal to 132. Now, Sarah, she saves £3 every week for a year. Now, there's 52 weeks in a year. So if we take £3 and multiply that by 52, that would tell us how much money Sarah saves. So 3 times 52, well, 3 times 50 is 150, and 3 times 2 is 6, that would be £156. So that means that Rebecca has saved £132 and Sarah has saved £156. Now, at the end of the year, they share their savings. So let's add the amount of money to begin with and see how much money they've got all together. So 132 plus 156 would be equal to £288. So altogether, they've got £288. And then they're going to share it so that each person has the same amount of money. So let's take the £288 and divide that by 2. And 288 divided by 2 would be equal to 144. So how much money does each person receive? The answer would be £144. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 11. So question number 11 says, David, Edward, Harry and Thomas each have some money. And Thomas has got £10 more than Edward. Harry's got £4. And then David gives £9 to Harry, and Edward gives Harry twice as much as David gives Harry. And David, Edward and Harry now all have the same amount of money. How much money does Thomas have? Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write the name of each person down here. So we've got David, we've got Edward, we've got Harry, and we've got Thomas. And I'm just writing the names down just to help me try and spot what's going on here. And we know that, first of all, that Thomas has got £10 more than Edward. So Thomas has got £10 more than Edward. And Harry's got £4. I'm actually just going to write that down, that Harry has got £4. So Harry's got £4. And then David gives Harry £9. Now, I'm going to write before. So this is before they start giving each other money. And then I'm going to write after, because that might just help me figure out what's going on. So David gives £9 to Harry. So David's going to give £9 to Harry. So whatever David had is going to go down by £9. And whatever Harry's had is going to go up by £9. And then Edward gives Harry twice as much as David gives Harry. Now, David gave Harry £9. So that means that Edward's going to give Harry twice as much. That's going to be £18. That means that Edward gives Harry £18. And then we're told that David, Edward, and Harry now all have the same amount of money. So that means that David, Edward, and Harry all have the same amount. So this number, and this number will all be the same. And the question is, how much money does Thomas have? Okay, now let's figure out how much money Harry has, because we know that David gives him £9 and Edward gives him £18. So altogether he's given 9 plus 18 is equal to £27. So that means that Harry is given £27. Now he had £4 to begin with. He's been given £27. So plus 27 is equal to £31. So that means that Harry has now got £31. Now we're told that David, Edward, and Harry now all have the same amount of money. So that means they've all got £31 and £31. So that means that Edward and David have £31 as well. Now let's find out how much they had before, because we know that David gave Harry £9. We know that David gave Harry £9. So the amount of money that David had went down by £9. It went down by 9 because he gave him £9. So if we want to work out how much he had before he gave him £9, we're going to do 31 plus 9, that's equal to £40. He must have had £40 because whenever he then gave him £9, he's now got £31. And Edward gave Harry £18. So Edward, whatever he had before, he took away £18 and he's now got £31. So 31 plus 18 would be equal to £49. So that means that Edward had £49. So we can actually check this, just check we're along the right line so far. So if we add up how much money they've got now, that's 31 plus 31 plus 31, that's £93. And let's just add up how much they had before and check it's £93. So 40 plus 49 is 89, plus 4 is 93. So that's good. That means that David, Edward, and Harry, they had £93 before, and they've got £93 now. Now the question is, how much money does Thomas have? Now Thomas didn't give away any money, and we're told that Thomas has £10 more than Edward. So at the beginning, Thomas had £10 more than Edward. Now Edward had £49. Thomas had £10 more, so 8 plus 10 is equal to £59. So that means that Thomas has got £59 and he still has £59. And that's it. So how much money did Thomas have? £59. Now that question had quite a lot of things going on. We had, how much money they had before, some people gave some people money, and how much money they had at the end. So I found a little table like that just helped me figure out what was going on. Okay, let's have a look at question number 12. So question number 12 says, Jonathan and Lauren sell 2 cars. They sold the first car for £9,750. They sold the second car for £12,999. And Jonathan and Lauren shared the money equally. How much money do they each receive? So we want to find the midpoint. We want to find the midpoint of this amount of money. Let's add how much money they receive. So let's do 9,750 plus 12,999 to see how much money they get in total. And that's equal to £22,749. Now they're going to share that money equally, so let's divide by 2, £22,749, and divide that by 2, and that's equal to, this is a calculator question, £11,374.50p, and that would be the midpoint of these two amounts of money. Or what we've done is added up to see how much they had in total and then divided by 2. That's £11,374.50p, and that's it. That's how much they each receive. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 13. So question number 13 says, Paul, Gina and Roscoe all have some money. Paul's got £5.60. Gina gives Paul and Roscoe £1.90 each. Roscoe and Gina now have the same amount of money. Paul's got half the amount of money that Gina originally had. Work out how much money Roscoe had to start with. So I'm going to use a similar approach to this question as I did in question number 11. So I'm going to write their names down, Paul, Gina, and Roscoe. And we've got before, like they had some money, so we've got before, and then they start giving each other money, so then we'll write after, and we'll see what's going on. So first of all, we're told that Paul had £5.60, so let's write down £5.60. He had £5.60 to begin with. Now Gina gives Paul and Roscoe £1.90 each. So Gina gives Paul £1.90 and she gives Roscoe £1.90. So we can work out how much money Paul would now have because he's given £1.90. So he's given £1.90, so plus £1.90, and £5.60 plus £1.90. Well, if we add £2, that's equal to £7.60. So adding £1.90 would be equal to £7.50. So Paul now has £7.50. Now we're told that Roscoe and Gina now have the same amount of money. So Roscoe and Gina now have the same amount of money. Well, I can't really see anything to do with that bit of information yet. And then we're told that Paul has got half the amount of money that Gina originally had. So Paul's now got half of the amount of money that Gina originally had. So if we double £7.50, we can then work out how much Gina had originally. And double £7.50, well, double £7 is £14. Double 50p is a pound, so that's going to be £15. So that means that Gina must have had £15 to begin with. So we now know that Gina had £15 to begin with. Now we're also, if we go back to this bit of information, Gina gave Paul £1.90 and she also gave Roscoe £1.90. She gave away £1.90 to each of those two people. So that means her amount of money must have went down by, well, if we add £1.90 and £1.90, so £1.90 plus £1.90, we can see how much money Gina gave away. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 9 plus 9 is 18, put 8 down, carry a 1, and 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So that's £3.80. So the amount of money that Gina had went down by £3.80. So if we take the £15 and subtract the £3.80 she gave away, that would be equal to £11.20. So that means that Gina now has £11.20. Now, if we go back to this middle line here, we're told that Roscoe and Gina now have the same amount of money. So Roscoe and Gina both have the same amount of money. So that means that Roscoe has now got £11.20. And the question says, work out how much money Roscoe had to start with. Now, he's now got £11.20 and he was given £1.90. So if we take the £1.90 away from £11.20, that would tell us how much money Roscoe had to begin with. So £11.20 subtract £1.90 is equal to, well, 0 take away 0 is equal to 0. 2 take away 9 we can't do, so let's borrow. So that's now 0 and that's now 12. 12 take away 9 is 3. And then we've got 10 take away 1 is equal to 9. So that means that Roscoe would have £9.30 to begin with. And that's it. So how much money did Roscoe have to start with? £9.30. Okay, let's have a look at our last question, question number 14. So we're told that Bankworld pays 6% interest per annum, so they pay 6% interest on savings. And Corporate Bank pay more, obviously, they pay 7.5% interest per annum. And Darren opens a bank account at Bankworld with £600, and he opens a bank account at Corporate Bank with £800. And we're told at the end of 1 year, Darren decides he would like to have an equal amount of money in both bank accounts. How much money should he transfer from his Corporate Bank account to his Bankworld account? So let's work out how much money Darren has after the end of the year. So let's start off with Bankworld. So Bankworld. He puts £600 into the bank and he gets 6% interest. And he puts the money in for 1 year, so we just need to increase £600 by 6%. And that's how much money he'll have in his Bankworld account at the end of the year. So let's take the £600 and divide it by 100. That would tell us 1%. And 600 divided by 100 is equal to £6. So 1% is £6. Now he gets 6%, so we multiply that by 6. That will tell us what 6% is. So 6 times 6 is equal to £36. So that means that if we add that on, that's how much interest he receives. So 600 plus 36 is equal to £636. So that's how much money he'd have in his Bankworld account at the end of the year. Now if we consider his Corporate Bank account, so Corporate Bank, he had £800 in the bank, so let's take the £800 and divide it by 100. That's 1%, so that's equal to £8. So 1% is equal to £8. He received 7.5% interest, so we want to find 7.5%. So 1% is £8. If we multiply that by 7.5, we'll find 7.5%. And this is a calculator question, so we can take the £8 and multiply by 7.5, and that's equal to £60. So that means if we add, that's how much interest he receives at Corporate Bank. So if we take his amount of money he put in, the £800, and we add the interest, which is £60, at the end of the year, he'll have £860. So that means that at the end of 1 year, he'll have £636 in Bankworld, and he has £860 in Corporate Bank. Now the question says he decides that he wants to have an equal amount of money in both bank accounts. So he's going to take some of this money and put it into this bank account, so then they both have the same amount of money. So let's find how much money he has altogether. So let's take the £636 and add the £860 and see how much money he has altogether. And that's equal to £1,496. So that means that in his two bank accounts in total, he has £1,496. So now if we divide that by 2, that's how much money he wants in each bank account. He wants the same amount of money in each bank account. So if we take the £1,496 and divide that by 2, that's equal to £748. So that means that Darren, if he was to put the same amount of money in each bank account, he would have £748 in each bank account. Now the question says, work out how much money he should transfer from his Corbettmaths bank account to his Bankworld account. So he wants to have left £748 in his corporate bank account. So let's take that away from the current amount he's got in there, which is £860, and see how much money he's going to take out of that bank account. So let's take the £860 that's in there at the minute, take away the £748, how much money he wants left in there, and see how much extra he's going to move from that account into the Bankward account. And if we do that subtraction, we're going to get that's equal to £112. So that means that Darren should take £112 out of the corporate bank account, and that would mean he'd be left with £748. And if he added £112 into his Bankward account, that would be equal to £748 as well. So the answer would be £112, and that's it. So these have been the video solutions to the practice questions based on money and finding the midpoint. I really hope you found these practice questions useful, or these solutions useful. And if you have found them useful, please like the video and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you need any extra help on this topic, if you go to corbettmaths.com/contents and scroll down to video 400S, there's a video tutorial on this topic. But again, I really hope you found this video useful. So thank you. Cheers. Bye.